All right. Well, before I knew the news, I got something to say about that fucking asshole Howard Stern. I'm sick of this fucking cocksucking fuck Howard Stern, man. I'm sick of him because you know what? Exactly what I said happened, and I'm calling him a cocksucker for a reason because this guy's whole thing now in life is to just suck the cock of every A-list celebrity out there because that's all his shows become. This cocksucker, man. The reason I call him a cocksucker because that's what he does, man. He finds A-list celebrities and he sucks their cock so they come on their show. And I don't even mean like literally sucking their cock. This guy kisses their ass so bad that he stopped being funny. He stopped being interesting. Only thing he thinks he asks them now is he asks them about how much money do they make. That's his only question because he's comparing in his head. Am I as rich as this? Is it worth being friends with them? How much money do they have? And he's probably only trying to move up and up and up. And he abandons his friends left and right. I called it 3 shows ago, and this happens this week. So what he did, he is talking to, I don't know, do you guys know about David Arquette?
Yeah.
It's like Patricia Arquette's brother.
Yeah, he's kind of a loopy kind of dude.
Yeah. So, well, Stern did the same thing to this guy, what I've been watching him do over the years to everybody.
He abandoned him?
Well, he'll find him because he's a celebrity, right? So back a few years back, David Arquette, buddy, hanging out with Courtney Cox. You know, Courtney Cox is more A-list than, but she divorced the guy, right? So next thing you know, he's abandoning David Arquette, and he's all over Courtney Cox. And basically just threw this guy under the bus. So finally, a guy calls him out for what he is.
And then I become aware.
Oh, and I love it because he's been getting a lot of shit from the dog pound guys.
Yeah.
Dog shed guys.
Right.
Because they've been tweeting me whenever they talk shit to him. Because apparently this was just out the other day. You know WikiLeaks?
Yes.
Well, WikiLeaks put out some emails from Sony that Simon Cowell was trying to go behind Howard Stern's back and get him to be fired and take over his position.
Right.
So a bunch of people on that dog shed found that, and they started tweeting Howard Stern with my name attached to it.
Oh, no.
And I wasn't even tweeting Howard, so he blocks me. And next thing we know, Radar Online's run this article.
Or who you think is running Howard's Twitter blocks you.
No, Howard is on Howard's Twitter.
How do you know that?
You can tell when celebrities are, and he is.
Okay.
Because it's barely him tweeting, and he always, when people get on him,
yeah,
he sometimes complains on his show. It really affects him.
Okay, cool.
Which is funny because the amount of shit this guy's talked about people in his career, and he's the most thin-skinned motherfucker out there. I mean, if you remember what Howard Stern did to this poor DeBella, this was this guy that was a DJ. I forget what town it was in, but Howard Stern starts his show there. So he harasses this poor older guy. He's got a little handlebar, walrus-looking mustache. He harasses this guy so bad that he ends up getting a divorce from his wife. And then Howard Stern brings the wife on the show to humiliate this guy and pays her, like, I forget how much. He pays her a small sum of money to talk shit about her family. And I think this woman falls into depression. I would have personally sued the fuck out of Howard Stern after this happened. She commits suicide.
Wow.
Shortly after all this. You can't tell me that didn't affect her in some way. When you bring on a woman, okay, that just got a divorce and humiliate her and her husband. This poor DeBella guy should have sued the fuck out of Howard Stern back then. I don't know how he didn't. This guy uses his money to insulate him from a lot of the shit he's been pulling off. But now he's such a thin-skinned little prick. Cocksucker Howard Stern, sucking the cock of A-list celebrities all day.
And then I become aware of it.
But here he is complaining about how people talk bad to him on Twitter. You can tell it's affected him.
And then I become aware of it because everyone would be tweeting me, which, by the way, I'm stopping reading my Twitter account as much as I can because people...
No, don't pay attention to those people.
Oh, yeah, you try not to pay attention to those people.
Yeah. Yeah, he suddenly, he's affected what people say after this guy has talked shit his whole life. The most nastiest stuff. I can pull it up, Stern, if you want me to. Over the years, the horrible shit you've said. Don't act like you're not a horrible person. And now little things affect you. prick. Oh, fucking greedy fuck. Howard Stern. Money, 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 man. That's all this guy wants, man. He could care less that his show's shit. I think he buys bits now. The way it sounds, some of these things, I think he's buying them. But here's David Arquette calling in, and exactly what I said Howard Stern does.
Yeah.
How right was I, man? Listen to this guy.
You were a friend, you fucking asshole.
Whoa.
What happened to peace and love,
Yeah, what happened to peace and love?
David?
Yeah, he's all offended now because he can tell Howard Stern is not his friend anymore. It went from being best bros to suddenly, oh, I don't want to talk to this guy. I'm with his ex-wife now because she's a little bit more famous than him.
Come to L.A., no call me, you call her.
I didn't call anybody. I went to Jimmy's house.
Call her. Okay, so Jimmy, I'm not invited to Jimmy's parties. 2 more.
That's his friend Jimmy Kimmel, and you know why Howard Stern's friends with Jimmy Kimmel. It's perfect,
Right.
Like it's picked out. Not that he wants to be friends with Jimmy Kimmel initially, probably, but he's like, oh my God, what's better than this? Jimmy Kimmel, A-lister. he's got a Tonight Show type guest.
Yep.
He can just feed me all his guests, and you know that's what's happening because suddenly Jimmy Kimmel's Howard Stern's buddy. Next thing you know, all these guests that used to come on Jimmy Kimmel's show are suddenly showing up on Howard Stern. Suddenly he's getting all these people. You don't think Jimmy Kimmel is feeding him people? Feeding him guests? The moment Jimmy Kimmel doesn't have a fucking show anymore to feed Howard Stern guests, he's going to move on to the next late night celebrity. He's a vampire. I've told you this. He sucks your Rolodex. He will suck your fucking Rolodex and steal all your contacts and then filter them by how famous they are, how much money they have, and then he'll fucking go after them like another vampire, and he'll suck everybody's Rolodex. I've told you, man, my thing I pray in life is Howard Stern, all his investments that he makes with all his little hedge fund buddies, that one of them turns out to a Madoff-type character and bankrupts this guy, man. That's what Howard Stern needs. You fucking greedy fuck.
There wasn't a party. I was at Jimmy's house.
Listen, I'm just telling you. I got dumped for the, more famous person, but I met you first.
Do I go to dinner with you? What do you mean you've been dumped?
We went.
Bonafide, do you remember me saying this like 3-4 shows ago? That's
Yeah.
what Stern does. He finds famous. Look at what the people closest to him said, man. How on point am I about this guy?
There wasn't a party. I was at Jimmy's house.
So listen. I'm just telling you. I got dumped for the more famous person, but I met you first.
Do I go to dinner with you? What do you mean you've been dumped?
We went.
Am I right on point?
Somewhat, but David Arquette is kind of a loopy guy too. Like, so he's kind of a. It's hard.
So
to
you're
explain.
saying you would have dumped him
Kind
too?
of a Tom Green.
Yeah, well,
But see, I
Tom
feel
Green's
like
way awesome,
you've
but,
got kind of the same
Tom Green is
personality as a Howard Stern type.
How's that?
Well, like if your friend might kind of get a little loopy,
Yeah,
you'd probably dump him at that point and move on.
it's not good to have loopy friends, bro.
But friends are friends, man. You got to be with them through thick and thin and help them out
No,
if
that's
they're
your
loopy.
wife.
Yeah, that's the wife and everything. But
I'm
friends
talking about like
wife,
friends, like
bruh.
you've known for a long time. You don't just abandon them immediately after some shit goes wrong.
Well, when your friend is through whatever, maybe the thin part of the life, and they're lying to you or insulting you, it's time to move on. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Because
fair
trust
enough.
is-
If
trust is
it's
everything.
a long-term thing.
I'll stay with someone if they're not screwing with
But
me
you
or
know,
fucking
David
me
Arquette
over.
was loopy.
I think
to begin with.
Yeah, he's always been loopy in all his roles. He's always been known as the loopy kind of guy, which makes I'm thinking
but
he's
he's also
genuine
an
right
honest,
here.
genuine guy.
I think he's being genuine, but we don't know
Hopefully.
anything about Arquette other than what we think we know about.
I can
Arquette.
tell honest and genuine, and I can
could
tell
be a total,
Howard Stern has
weirdo.
completely gone off the charts from being an honest, genuine guy.
But
He's at
so
the other spectrum.
has the popularity of anything in America. Anything popular these days is so G or PG rated, and it gets tons of views and tons of subscribers on YouTube, and that's what the world is coming to.
But here's some more proof.
You can't really do old school stuff that he was doing anymore, without getting in serious trouble or
Right.
losing everything.
Right. Maybe that's it, man. Maybe that's what is how he's going to go into his twilight, man. He's going to fade away like that.
Well, I mean, he's
At
always
a
been known as
completely different-
a very king type person. He lived and began he was the beginning of an era. He was like the Cobain of grunge metal.
Dude,
like
he's
he
the
started
king, bro. He's
the
the
craziest stuff ever, man. He showed people it's completely
It's why you
possible.
But what's that got to do with him being a greedy prick?
Well,
I'm not saying you should
shit
abandon your
happens.
friends, but successful people hang out with successful people. So if he's looking at Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's a successful person, and if Jimmy's going, hey man, you can, I'll toss you some of my guests, and it just happens to be over conversation. What is?
and it's a win.
And Howard's there. Like, would you say no?
I'm fine. No, I'm fine with that. But he's gonna move on from Jimmy Kimmel. Moment
That could
Jimmy
be-
Kimmel shows off the air,
Right. Now,
Howard
that
Stern
sucks.
finds
Yeah,
Jimmy
that
Kimmel's
absolutely is-
replacement. That's who he hangs out with.
That's terrible. That's
what I'm
real
saying
bad.
Howard Stern's
and he's
become.
defending himself, saying, "I don't do that."
But I called this way before all this broke. Here's some more proof right here.
And when a fucking friend calls you up and tells you about his wedding,
I called
you're
you.
like an asshole about it.
I wasn't an asshole. I told you the emails were crazy.
You brought up my ex.
You were
What? You brought up my ex.
So what? When don't
My
we talk
fucking
about your
wedding.
ex?
So you went to the low denominator of the celebrity bullshit.
Dude, I get together with you, and there are times Courtney's not there.
Oh.
And if I see
You get
Courtney
together
somewhere-
with me. No. You got together with me, and I was invited to Jimmy's shit.
Right.
Before you guys met Courtney, or maybe it's like you worry about me, Courtney, and Johnny, and Christina getting along, but we get along fine. But then when you meet somebody and then they become your friends with your friends, does it hurt your feelings any little bit? And none of this.
Did you hear what he said? It was subtle. He said, but when you've become friends and then that person becomes friends with your friends, that's him basically pointing out what I'm saying is Howard Stern will suck your Rolodex
right.
and move on. And he will release all the names that aren't going to get him anywhere.
Maybe he thought David Arquette was one of the weak links, and he was just
I mean, maybe David.
He just sucked David Arquette's
Like,
one of
Rolodex.
the weak links in his
Howard
friend-
Stern seems
friendship.
like he understands. He has a point to make, but it's hard to understand what David Arquette's point is. Also,
Right.
he's being very. He's not forming the point correctly.
Well,
or something.
he's a little loopy right now. I
Right.
think he's a little drunk, probably.
Maybe.
And with you, it feels like because Courtney's more famous than her friends or whoever the fuck. Who cares, man?
I don't
But it
care.
hurt my feelings.
I can't control who gets invited to a dinner I'm invited to.
It hurt my
That's crazy thinking.
I don't know.
it's not.
I just
Yes,
thought it
it
was
is.
interesting because it's exactly what I said was going on, and somebody called him out on it
What's
for the first
interesting is
time I've
maybe
ever
somebody
seen.
hears this and starts going, "Hey, that happened to me too," and that's what you're hoping on too. Like another celebrity goes, "Hey, that kind of happened to me too," and I was
Right.
A-list at one point, but not anymore. But why should a friendship dissolve? Because
Oh, I bet you there's thousands of these stories
But
that
maybe
litter the landscape behind Howard Stern.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
Ditched
maybe
friends that
Arquette
became less
also
famous.
like was just somehow in the background screwed with Stern or like messed with him or like tweeted him wrong or
Yeah.
something, fucked him. Like maybe he did something.
Right.